Good afternoon and welcome to Catching Up with the Tolberts. I'm Chelsea Whittington. This is one of my favorite things to do. Head on down to the Midtown section of Gary, Indiana, downtown Gary, and talk to my favorite attorneys, Shalise and Michael Tolbert. Hello, counselors.
Hello, how are you?
I am doing well. I know for a fact that the two of you have been super busy with cases, and so I want to thank you for allowing me to scoot in for a little while, because people always ask me, what's going on with the Tolberts? And I say, I'm so glad you asked. So the first thing we're going to catch up on is with you, attorney Michael Tolbert. We saw all over Facebook and online and in your newsletter where you traveled down to Indianapolis to serve on a panel, something that's impactful to the communities that you serve and counselors who are coming behind you. So talk a little bit about what was going on down in Naptown.
Well, it's always nice to when people reach out to us and ask us to speak on panels and to share our experience. First of all, it makes me realize that I'm starting to get old.
Seasoned.
Because I remember I used to be in the audience, and slowly but surely, and now I'm creeping up to the front, and now I'm like looking at the audience. So the Defense Trial Council of Indiana, their Young Lawyer section, had a seminar on how to develop business as young lawyers, and they asked if I would come down and share some of my experience. And it's always a nice time speaking to young lawyers and really trying to bridge that gap between the old and the new, because they're the lifeline of our profession. And, 20, 30 years from now, I'll still be practicing.
Sure you will.
Be on the beach somewhere, but I'll still be practicing, going strong, and talking to young lawyers. And I just got to hoop out of sharing my information with them.
That's awesome. I mean, I feel like being seasoned is the best part of the game. You've gotten all the hiccups out of it, especially the business part of it, because we both, well, I don't, but you all know what it is to practice law, but we all know what it is more than a notion to run a business.
Yes, absolutely.
And so thank you for doing that good give back service that you always do. Don't you think that's nice, Shalise?
Absolutely. Anytime he can get in front
Out of
of
her
folks.
hair.
Oh, come on. I was at the office working.
Yeah.
Somebody got to make the money.
But you're
I know,
going to the
right?
beach soon. You know, she does all
And
the
he said
estate.
20 or 30 years. He said,
okay,
I'm
that
still
is-
practicing.
Okay, well, if you're just tuning in, hey, everybody, Instagram, Facebook, everybody, I'm with the Tolberts Catching Up. And I know we say this, but I can't say it enough about your designation for super lawyers, because that's not easy to achieve. And it's not something that all lawyers get that distinguished honor. So remind them one more time how important it is that you all made the super lawyers list. And I've been doing it every year. I just take the story out and change the year. That's pretty cool, isn't it?
Well, we don't take it lightly. We thank God for any recognition that we get. But, this is also something from our peers, and it's the top 5% attorneys in practicing in Indiana. So we're very grateful for those recognitions.
Well, congratulations. I always thought you were super, but now it's like official that you continue to be super lawyers. I also heard that you all had a run-in with the police. I love to do those kind of things. They're like, wait, what? Now they're tuning in. But no, it was a good run-in. Michael, what was going on with the Fraternal Order of Police and an honor that came you guys' way?
Well, I don't know what it is about the cafe where we eat, Great Lakes Cafe, but Shalise and I eat there quite a bit, and every year we run into the Fraternal Order of Police president at the Great Lakes Cafe, and he always has our plaque for when we donate to the kids. So that seems to be the drop-off point. But it's just, they do a nice toy drive at the end of the year, and they usually don't get around to thanking their sponsors until the following year. So he ran into us a few weeks ago, gave us our plaque, and it just really warms my heart every time I see them, because it reminds me that we have contributed to a very worthy cause and that we've helped kids. I'm not going to say, I'm sorry, I'm bumping the table, but, I'm not going to say that I was a kid that was poor enough not to have experienced Christmas.
Yeah.
But I really didn't experience Christmas the way that a lot of kids do, just because I had a father that didn't believe in that type of stuff.
Okay.
But anytime that I can help kids celebrate Christmas or any holiday, then I think it's a good thing.
Oh,
We try
yes.
to, so.
Always the best. Well, thank you to the Fraternal Order of Police for always hanging out at Great Lakes with plaques in the trunk
That's
on
right.
deck for that recognition. But again, to me, it never gets old. And I also want to point out that your level of giving and your type of giving is diverse. So it could be anything from the karate school all the way over to the Urban League and back down to UNCF and the crossover to your fraternities and sororities, which brings me to your community service. I understand that there is a T on the horizon in Delta Land.
It is the Gary Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. It's doing its annual tea on May 18th, and I cannot recall the location. That's horrible because unfortunately I don't get to go this year.
I know.
But it is a scholarship fundraiser, so if you want information, go to the chapter's page for tickets. Gary Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta. It is an awesome event the ladies come decked out in their finest attire with their
for high tea.
For high tea.
And
the gentlemen come too. Occasionally we get some men that sprinkle in, but mostly the ladies come in with all their hats and fine apparel, their gloves, and it's just a time for us to fellowship. We get some good entertainment going on there, and all while raising money for scholarship.
Yes. Well, you know I'm all about that, raising money. And then that's May. Then in June, we're ready to tee off with the Kappas?
Yes, we have our annual golf outing, our Kappa Classic. It's to support our Henry E. Bennett Foundation Scholarship, where we give money out for kids. So I can't play golf a lick, but it's always a nice time to get out there with the brothers of KSI and raise some money for kids. So.
And that's June 7th, you said?
I think it is June 7th. I always get mixed. They moved around so much, but I know it is coming up. So.
Okay, well, so what we'll watch for information, and I'm sure you'll be sharing on your social when the time comes. But I always like to emphasize your involvement in the community and always your community service through your sorority and your fraternity. I also read some cool news about one of your associate attorneys getting that first victory under his belt. Who's this guy and what did he win? What has he won, Bob?
Well, I'll tell you what, Sam, our attorney Sam Brown, he's a young associate. He's been practicing for a little less than a year. And we're very fortunate to have Sam here with our office. And he's a young lawyer that's learning the ropes. And I can remember, and I'm sure Shalise can remember, her very first trial. And it's a scary experience to go in front of a judge and have people looking at you. You're trying to put in evidence, you're trying to lay foundation and all the lawyerly things that they teach us in law school. But he was able to get through it all because he prepared for it. And he won his first bench trial. So
that is awesome.
Kudos to Sam, and there'll be many, many more victories along the way, I'm sure.
Now, were you there, like in the background? Like
no. We took the training wheels off and we threw him to the wolves, and
he came back with the victory.
He came out with the shark's teeth. He made a nice little necklace out of them.
Oh, nice.
But he did a great job, and it's very difficult to really get trial experience because things are going less to trial these days.
People are like settling out of court.
Which is not a bad thing. It's good to resolve problems. Very expensive. So it's anytime we can give a young lawyer an opportunity to have that experience, we try to.
All right. Shalise, what was your first trial?
I'm really honestly don't remember.
You're a seasoned attorney, aren't you?
What was my first trial?
My first trial was Lewis versus State Farm.
Oh,
yes.
Well.
That's like
I
a big
remember
one.
your first trial, and I don't remember mine.
That's love. That's all that is.
That was my first grand jury trial in front of Judge DeWan in Crown Point.
Did you win?
I won.
Of course he did. Of course he did. We are catching up with the Tolberts. And speaking of Sam, he is among several whom we've added to the team. Director of HR, Shalise.
That's another one we need to add.
Exactly. But tell me, I think you have a couple of clerks and some more team members.
We do. So, Sam has been with us almost a year.
Okay.
I think during the last one we talked about our paralegal, Melanie Foster.
Hey, Mel.
And then just yesterday we had 2 new file clerks start.
Okay.
Zoe and Veronica.
Well, welcome to our team. I'm so excited. And Michael, you know that I like to hear that because that means growth. Growth here in the city of Gary. And you often talk about your love for being able to have people on the team that they are able to support their families. Talk about just pouring back into the economy.
Yeah, I mean the local the ecosystem that we call jobs and workforce development in any areas is important, but particularly in areas like Gary. So that's one of my favorite parts about really having a business in the city is being able to hire people from the local economy and being able to have those dollars circulate back. Because when people get hired at these places, like Tolbert and Tolbert or Jay's Breakfast Club or any other of our business locally, or CWIT PR, those people have to eat somewhere, right? They have to get their car washed somewhere. They have to do all of these ancillary services that we don't necessarily think about. So I get great joy whenever we hire somebody new because I know that's one more person that's going to be dispersed into the local economy and allowing that dollar to circulate in our community.
I love it. So since we're on the subject of supporting businesses, we're going to wrap this up with the recap of what attorneys Tolberts actually do, what type of law, because I tell you, it never fails. Somebody inboxes or texts me asking me, do the lawyers, do Tolberts do crime? I need them to get me off.
Do crime?
Yeah, they're crime. So I won't do any time. And I'm like, no, but if you have an estate to plan or Big Mama's money is under the bed and we need to figure out how to get this in a legal state, you can talk to Shalise, but you can say it so much better, Shalise. What type of law do we practice here at Tolbert and Tolbert?
Well, we do all civil work here at Tolbert and Tolbert. We do personal injury. We do business litigation. We draft contracts. We review contracts. We do some work for some governmental entities around. And I do some estate planning, which includes wills, powers of attorney, things like that. Michael is a certified mediator.
Yes.
And, if we can't help you out, we find someone that we trust to help you.
And I want to comment on that because a lot of times people think that the usage of a lawyer is just direct service to consumer, but it's much more than that. We profess that we are a resource to our community. So if we can't do the work ourselves, then we'll find you the best available professional that can. So
that's so honorable.
And we appreciate that. We appreciate being able to solve your problem. So just because we can't directly benefit from it doesn't mean that we still don't want to help. So don't be afraid to call us if you need something.
And as we all know, this is a firm of faith. And so every time you all refer them to somebody else, everything just comes back tenfold. I feel the blessings that continue to flow when we are free with the information and the contacts and the networks that we share. Well, it's springtime. Any you guys travel? Anything on the horizon, spring, summer, or are y'all locked up in the courtroom? What's going on?
We have a couple of business trips to take, conferences, but I got a trial coming up in May, so sandwiched in between those conferences is a trial.
All right. Yeah. Well, we want those phones ringing.
Of course,
right?
Of course.
Well, you are officially caught up with the Tolberts. I'm Chelsea Whittington of CWIT PR. Please make sure you catch up with the Tolberts online. And how do they do that, Shalise?
Well, all of our socials are Tolbert Legal, our website, tolbertlegal.com. Tolbert on Instagram, Tolbert and Tolbert on Instagram.
On the gram.
I'm sorry.
The kids say
Excuse me, on the gram.
The gram. Okay, we're so hip today.
On LinkedIn, Facebook, all the same. So, and we are located in the wonderful city of Gary at 1085 Broadway, Suite B, which is the second floor at the corner of 11th and Broadway.
Thank you so much. Any parting words, Attorney Tolbert?
Always. I just want to thank all of you for your support. I want to thank the CWIT team for telling our story and getting our story out. But just thank you and continuously supporting our firm. So we don't take that for granted, and we thank God for each and every one of you.
Amen. Everybody, we're out. We'll see you next time, and please share this video.